Hello friends, welcome to another episode of I Play Games and Film It. And welcome to the interim episode I'm going to do, because it's Halloween, so of course I'm going to do an episode, and of course I'm going to play a zombie game, and of course I'm going to talk about horror games, of course I'm going to do that. What else would I do on Halloween? I'm going to dress up as a bloody unicorn and start singing about how wonderful the world is, hey? So it's Halloween today. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not doing a lot for Halloween myself. I'm not a massive fan of dressing up and stuff. It's not my thing. But that's another story from way back when I was a little boy and I had a very traumatic experience with a stage play and stuff. So I'm going to leave it there and leave that in the open for you guys to decide what happened. But no, so basically, I'll be honest, I wanted to do like a special Halloween thing for the channel. You know, I wanted to do a Halloween game. I wanted to play something really scary, because actually I'd not played anything really scary myself for a long time, and I miss scary games. I think if I can throw myself back to the last time I felt any real kind of terror in a game, any real fear, it must have been Fatal Frame, I think it was. Yeah, because the way the ghost jumped out at you, and the way that you had to look down through the camera lens, and you felt really vulnerable because you couldn't move anywhere. You had to look through the lens to kind of attack them or defend yourself almost. And all the while they could move around and kind of change position and stuff and launch at you. And it scared the crap out of me. I didn't like it at all. Then there were games like Fear did actually scare me a little bit, but a little bit less. I did start playing Siren Blood Curse, sorry. But those of you who do watch my channel, and those of you who are starting to watch my channel, may notice from my stealth games, I'm not much of a puzzle guy. I'm not really much of a puzzle guy. So, Siren Blood Curse didn't really play out very well for me, because I got stuck. I mean, I haven't played it for a while, so I might give it another go, actually. But I remember I started playing it, and literally got lost straight away. I kept dying, because the policeman kept getting me, and I didn't know what to do. So I left it there. But that still left me in fits of absolute terror, because I just literally had no idea what was going on, and it was a terrifyingly new experience for me as well. So even that, playing along with it, it was all very uncomfortable, So yeah, so they're all quite old experiences. They're all got old games, and I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what happened, I suppose. But then, I mean, you look at the fame of Amnesia, for example, and then the new game Outlast, which came out recently on PCs, and all I'm curious about at the moment, really, is why it's not such mass marketing for consoles, to be perfectly honest, for horror games to be sold or developed. Whoa. I do want to ask that question, because if you go onto the PC market, if you look at the PC market now, you'll find a horror game within about 2 minutes. No problem at all. If you looked, and it wouldn't necessarily be a AAA title, it's not going to be a big budget, big production game. It'll be something small like a Flash game or something, but it will still be truly quite terrifying. I'm thinking of Ex Mortis, for example, which you can find on a lot of sites, but I'll say Newgrounds, everyone knows Newgrounds. And I do kind of want to ask why it's not as popular to have these games on consoles. I guess Siren Blood Curse wasn't really advertised that much. At least I didn't see it advertised a lot, so I don't want to make a blanket statement, but I didn't see it advertised anywhere. You just found it. I just came across it and was like, oh, okay. Same with Deadly Premonition. I mean, it wasn't obviously the best game in the world, but again, there was not really any advertising for that. The advertising for that game was pretty much how bad it was, if you like. It was basically, you know, how awful that game was, and everyone was talking about it that way. And that was kind of it, really. So yeah, all I guess I think to myself is it basically because there isn't really a market in the console area for horror games to be scary as such? I mean, they could call horror games like Resident Evil or maybe even Dead Rising, if that's it, but that's just like, well, there's zombies in it, therefore it's horror. You don't really get any real sense of terror in these games. There's no real sense of urgency or what am I thinking of? A peril or danger or, you know, vulnerability at any real point. You don't get any of that. So I kind of do think to myself, well, that's not really horror. I mean, perhaps in a loose term of the genre horror, it would be a case of, yeah, you know, there are scary things out there and they could kill you. But in that regard, I mean, you could say this is a horror game, but then you're running around with bloody nails attached to MMA gloves. I mean, that doesn't necessarily scream out vulnerability to me. All this does. But no, I thought about it in some more kind of context and levels, and I guess I basically reached a conclusion in my head that scary, for one thing, is not a mass market genre. It's not a something that you kind of go, yes, everyone in the world at some point will want to have the pants scared off their asses, which is true. I think wanting to scare yourself shitless is an acquired desire. I'd have to say a lot of people just stay clear of it. I personally love it. I love being able to watch a film and feeling genuinely terrified, and feeling peril, and you know, almost the joy of not being able to sleep that night because of how terrified I am of something, or you know, it does. I love that feeling because it's so almost seems unnatural, and it's so different to all the other kind of emotions you feel on a day-to-day basis. That's kind of my theory behind it. I do enjoy it, but it's not something everyone would go for because you feel in danger, you feel threatened, and that's not fun. That's not fun for a lot of people. So it's not really something that can be mass marketable because you want something, really ideally publishers want something that can be sold to millions of people, millions and millions of people. And also the constructs of horror, to create good horror, requires so much more than just a scary face and tense music and dark lighting. It's a really difficult formula to kind of construct, with a mixture of, you know, of tense moments, of climaxes, of condescending, crescendos, of perhaps empty climaxes, anticlimaxes, probably some dark lighting at certain points, but then you know, other moments where it's the complete opposite, where you suddenly feel safe. I actually looked up horror a while ago, and the sense of horror or the sense of fear is built and designed through putting someone through an environment they are not familiar with or even uncomfortable with. So it could be a sense of, let's say, where can I start? Yeah, throwing a vegetarian in a slaughterhouse, you know, that kind of thing, or that's kind of a sense of horror. Also, I guess when you think about the films like Saw, for example, the first time that came out, the scene is quite horrific because it was a very new concept. That people was kind of like, oh, this is a bit off, this is a bit, I'm not really sure about this. Same with Evil Dead as well. The reason that obviously came off so well was because it was such visceral, unadulterated horror and gore that it shocked the audiences, and I guess the recent one did as well. I love the recent Evil Dead. I thought it was incredible because even though it was a very nice remake of the old one, they managed to bring it all up to date and still managed to make it just as ridiculously brutal and relentless throughout the entire film. I loved it. But you can't unfortunately, you can't tap that into a video game, I guess. Video games already have a history of being gory and violent anyway, so just making something gory and violent doesn't necessarily work. And indeed, as we've seen with, say, Manhunt 2, if it's too gory and violent, then it gets banned, and it's kind of, no one really wants to play it. It kind of sucks. But yeah, I guess it's this idea in my head that basically says it's not enough of a profitable genre for anyone to take it really that seriously. And because it works on the PC, because the PC is a very popularly used developer tool, very easy to make games for, and I guess there is a kind of a larger audience in the sense that everyone has a computer at some point, and with that they're also able to make games that are accessible for anyone who has a computer, not just anyone who has a really high-end computer. So it's not like they all need the high-end graphics and stuff like that, because it's not about that. It's about the atmosphere, about setting a tension, about setting a mood, about making the player feel like they are, you know, in a different world and they've been transformed to that different world. It's all along those lines, really. So yeah, I guess I'm a little disappointed. I mean, what with the XBLA and the PSN and stuff, I would have thought they'd be able to do more with that, and certainly just offer up a little bit more in terms of the horror genre for consoles, because I do think that consoles need that. I'd love to see in the next generation more horror games come out, and I'm not asking them to be like high-end graphics and, you know, mind-blowing visuals and stuff like that. I mean, maybe even the voice acting doesn't have to be on point, because it rarely is anyway. But for a horror game to be good, or it doesn't need, I wouldn't say it doesn't need a lot of money, it just needs the right minds and the right understanding of what creating a horror game really is, and creating horror or fear really is. You know, just going along those lines. That's what it requires. Excuse me. So yeah, I do hope to see some, because I couldn't find any for this video I wanted to do for the Halloween special. And I'm left playing this, drinking cocktails with two chicks while they try to slice me up a little bit. Yay. Oh, God. Yeah. Any of you guys have any insights on what I've talked about? Anything, have any thoughts on what I discussed? Let me know in the comments. But thank you very much for watching, guys. Subscribe, comment, click the thumb button, share with a friend if you like. And I'll see you in another episode of I Play Games and Film It. Until then, you have a wonderful day. Ta-ta for now. Bye-bye. Oh. Too smart, too fat, too shy, too dumb, too scared, too blind, too